What is happening with AMC this time?
Well, I'm going to tell you everything about it because they are dealing with some apes.
Okay. See you next time.
You know what an ape is, Teco?
I know it. Yeah.
There's a movie about the revenge of the apes or something. No,
Yeah, I saw it has several meanings.
Exactly. First of all,
yes.
you're going to come back to something that you mentioned last week, and I said completely incorrect. Yeah, that is not so interesting for our English viewers. It was related to Ahold.
Yeah, we mentioned that their online service bol.com, it would be listed in the stock markets, but it was cancelled last week, and this week they confirmed it when they presented their quarterly figures. Mm-hmm. You asked me what is actually the importance of this part of the company. Well, I found out that it's like 5% contributing to their profits, so it's considerable, but also not extremely. I mean, it's still also the groceries that are earning. The other remark you made, like Ahold, we know we are Dutch, we know it ourselves from Holland and some other European countries, but they're also quite big in the US with other brands. Mm-hmm. Actually, most part of the revenues are coming from there. From US. So the turnover is like 21 billion euros and 13.6 is coming from the US. So it's an important company, I suppose, worldwide. They came yesterday with their figures. It's today Thursday, so Wednesday. They mentioned this about bol.com, and they had quite good results. Mm-hmm. The share price increased 8% based on the figures. Yeah, despite all the problems worldwide with inflation and commodities, yeah, they did quite well. They say it's also because of the loyalty.
So people are quite loyal to the
brands, and that's something that might be very interesting also for other companies. That, of course, everyone is paying more due to the inflation, and if in all supermarkets prices are high, you have to buy more. But they at least can count on a group of clients that are very apparently loyal. Coming, so that's good news for them.
Absolutely.
AMC, please, the apes.
Yeah, so AMC is maybe a company, then people wonder why you're talking about AMC, because it's we look into our client base, and not a lot of people have it in their portfolio because it's a very speculative stock, and it hasn't so much to do with investing. It's much more trading or speculating on rise or drop of the share price, because you're going to talk about it fundamentally, just from a really neutral perspective. If you look at the figures, do you want to put money into this? You will give an answer to that indirectly. AMC is a cinema company from the US. Casper and myself talked about it almost exactly 1 year ago, the 4th of June 2021. The share prices were going through the roof at that moment. But what is happening? They've announced a issuing of a very special dividend. They call it a dividend, and the dividend is an APE, and it's an AMC preferred equity issue. And what it entails is basically that it allows people to convert in the future possibly that APE, that specific share that comes out, into common stock. Why are they choosing for this? Because they are in need of cash. They have 18 million common shares outstanding. Last year they sold a lot of their shares, and they don't have enough shares left to keep basically the cash flow going. That is very simply explained, but it is what it is. They don't have enough shares on their own books to sell to raise cash. So they give out this specific APE. They're going to bring that out on the 22nd of August for a price of 1 cent, so 0.01. That is the price of the APE. And what is so interesting about it, why did they do this? It takes sort of like the survival risk. So this company is very much under pressure, of course. They have cinemas. We all know what happened in 2020. Cinemas were closed. So they didn't have any revenue or income during the whole of 2020. Then you had 2021. They started to generate revenue again, but you know all what happened. You go to the cinema last year, beginning of specifically, you had half of the capacity that was be able to be used. No, so it was not. They were not in a good place when a pandemic hit. So they were really suffering to that. So they need cash. They had to take out a lot of loans to keep the business going. They managed to do that quite well, and they're also already reducing the debt. I read an article, for instance, last month. They were capable of reducing the debt, a total debt of 73 million by paying 51 million. So they had the possibility to reduce that with a significant discount. So they are really working on that. Last year in total, 2021, they already reduced their debt with 500 something million. So they are working on that. But the total debt is, I think, about 5 billion, right?
Correct,
yeah,
yes.
For more or less 5 billion. So even though it sounds like a really lot of money, 72 million, 500 million, but still the outstanding debt is up to 5 billion. So it's substantial here. So they have, in my case, an issue there. But what is so interesting about this APE? Because it is a dividend, right? AMC was in the news a lot because of the massive amount of short selling that is going on in this stock. Because people think, yeah, this is a company that came out of nowhere. It became extremely popular last year because of the Wall Street bets and mainly smaller private investors jumping onto it and buying it and speculating on the rise and drop of the price because of it has a massive outstanding short number. And what does it mean when people are short in a stock? Just to wrap it up quickly, it's when the stock price is at 25, you sell the stock that you don't own, and you have the intention to buy them, for example, back at 20. So that's with a $5 profit. What happens in this case is many times you see that the total amount of outstanding shares is shorted 2 or 3 or 4 times. So we don't know the exact number of outstanding short in AMC at the moment, but we know there are 517 million outstanding shares. There were moments that almost 1 billion stocks were shorted on AMC. And what happens if the dividend, in this case, the APE is coming out for 0.01 cent, the shorters or the brokers that are behind it need to deliver that dividend to the owners of the short positions. So that means that if it comes out at 0.01, they will have to give back that dividend times 1 billion for a substantial higher amount. If you don't follow me, please tell me. But it might mean that the reason that the share price was going up about 15 to 20% is that people are already closing those short positions. Because think with me, the price at the moment is 1 cent. If you need to buy something back, the price of the APE might go up really dramatically. And if you know that you get it, the price in the market is 1 cent, but you might have to pay 10 cents for it, which is 10 times as much. So it might mean that the APE will be really going through the roof. I'm not saying that it will happen, but it is something that might occur. So it might be a really smart bet of AMC to have done this, because they basically might kill the whole short selling in this stock, because it's very much subject to short selling. So by having these APEs, you all the time have the obligation to give that dividend back in this case. So yeah, if you have to go and buy that for a much higher price, yeah, then short selling becomes all of a sudden much less interesting. Also very important, you see many times with AMC that when they do something, for instance, shareholders have a lot of benefits. They can have free ice cream and popcorn and coffee and drinks when they go to a movie theater of AMC, if you own shares. They couldn't do this in Europe, but this is something that is subject to all 518 million outstanding shares. So if you hold shares in Europe, you also will be benefited or not from, and if you see it as a benefit, of these receiving of these APE shares. So it is something very smart, I think, to stop the short selling. It is a possibility that allows them to raise cash, definitely, because they don't have more shares that they can sell to raise cash. If we look at the company itself from a little bit more downside, another side, they sold 43.5 million cinema tickets already in this year, and that was mainly due to Top Gun Maverick, which was a record. I think the whole amount of ticket sales had a value of 1.3 billion, and also Jurassic Park is something, another movie about these dinosaurs, was really successful. They're still not at the levels of 2019, because in 2019 they were selling at this moment about 73 million, so it's almost 70% of what they were selling in 2019. But all in all, if you hold these shares, yeah, and now you want to have an answer for me what you should do, and I'm not going to give it to you because it's very, very difficult. It is not something that is clear. If you think it from a logical perspective, what will happen? We know there's a lot of shorts outstanding. These shorts need to comply with the obligation of delivering the dividend. Either the price will go up on forehand by short sellers closing their positions,
being squeezed.
The squeeze, yeah. Right. So the price will go up, something that what we saw last week, or they keep the stocks, and then you will see that the APE, which you will be receiving on the 22nd of August, if I'm not wrong, will benefit from a rise in price. So it's very difficult. The APE itself, you will be able to trade it as well because it will get a listing on the market. Now, let's step back. We're talking about it, but let's look at it from just a normal investment perspective. If you look at the figures, as from an investor perspective, and just forget about the name AMC, you look at this company, would you bet your money on it?
Well, I think it's difficult to compare, but I always learned that you can compare everything, and this is the proof of it. So we took, AMC. You said ABC as an example, but it is AMC, and we compared it with Disney. Later we'll speak more about the company. For example, the earnings per share, Disney on an annual base, the earnings per share is $4 compared to a negative earning per share for AMC, $2.50 in 2021, and expected was -$1. So I think that's a very important
you can
figure.
Just say they don't make any money.
They don't, no, actually they lose. But of course, I also say fundamentals. I'm doing the fundamental part, but you must see it in the light of what kind of company, what is their position. So it's not, of course, if you see this, you would say, hey, I want a company to make money. But if it's like a growth company with a special plan, then it's difficult to only see these figures. The market capitalization, 204 billion for Disney and AMC 12 billion. So, of course, Disney is quite bigger, but still 12 billion.
Yeah, it's not a small company.
It's not a small company. The debt, the assets first of Disney, it's around 200 billion against 50 billion of debts. And for AMC, it's like 10.8 billion and 5.4 debt. You mentioned it before. So the debt position is, of course, quite different. Related also maybe to the earnings per share negative. So they are really investing, you could say.
AMC, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, they are constantly, and I also heard Adam Aaron, he said, we're growing due to acquisitions. They're constantly buying.
And as an investor, I suppose you like that kind of business or not, but the figures are here. The analysts rating, or not rating, so the analysts buy 20 for Disney, 8 hold, and 0 sell. So the analysts are quite positive about Disney. For AMC, buy 0, hold 3, and sell 4. So
there are two things that you can learn over here. They're very negative about it, and they also have much smaller coverage.
Which might be also, like you said, a lesson, no? That if there are not too many analysts. The number of employees. I found that an interesting one. I found out that Disney has 190,000 employees worldwide, and AMC 32,000. So again, like Disney is substantial bigger, but 32,000 employees. Not a small company neither.
No, not at all.
So some facts, I suppose you don't expect me to say what to do, because I think the difference is not only based on the fundamental. I think the share price, as you mentioned before with Casper, this short selling, it can happen with all the shares, but specifically this one is famous about those kind of movements. So this might be...
But it's not without a reason. I mean, honestly, it's if you just look at it from a perspective, I mean, when you buy these shares, you're buying into this debt, right? It's not like you're buying into something, and you're buying into debt, and you're buying into a company that is not making any profit.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like buying the restaurant across the street here that is losing money and they're not making any profits. Why would you, in God's sake, put money into that?
No,
just
it's
because
true.
You speculate on the fact that it might go up or down based on rumors and short squeezes and all those sorts of things.
So I think it's different than the normal stocks, no? Situations that we normally speak about, but it's also the stock market, no? With the rules and the things that are happening.
Definitely.
Disney. Today, it's Thursday, there was also news, we heard, that they actually now have more streaming subscribers than Netflix. So 221 million subscribers for Disney against 220.7 for Netflix. So that's a very important moment, I suppose, for Disney and also for Netflix. Well, the difference of 400,000 people, yeah, it's a lot of people, of course, but the difference is only 0.2% difference. I think even more important is that the last 3 quarters, Netflix, actually the number is decreasing and Disney is gaining. So it's like not only one moment, okay, now we have more subscribers, but it's like the trend basically for both companies. One is Netflix, we spoke about it, of course, is losing subscribers, and Disney is gaining. Before, and also on the midterm, the Q4 of 2019, Netflix was at 167 million, so less than now, but already quite big.
Just before COVID, actually.
Yes, and Disney was in 63 million, so they are now at 220
more.
150 more. So actually, there's a big difference now going on. That I want to know what will happen next quarter if they are really passing Netflix. But for the moment, it's a close call. But they have now more streaming subscribers than Netflix.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. I also heard that they're going to launch a advertisement model. So one with and one without advertisements. Disney in this case. Okay. All in all, interesting stuff, you know.
Difficult also, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. What to decide, especially if you hold AMC stocks.
But people holding that stock, they are already used again, I think.
I was just sort of finding some sort of sort of similar response. Yeah. They're used to having these movements.
These movements, yeah. It's not the first time, but like we said, what's happening this time? So something else added to the situation.
Definitely. I think the movement in the APE will be really interesting to see.
Yeah. The 22nd of August.
You would almost say that it comes out for 1 cent. Yeah, then it can go to 0, but it can't go really much lower than 1 cent, is it?
Let's see what happens the 22nd of August.
22nd of August. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you next week again, and then we take on another hot topic in the market. See you then.
Thank you. Bye-bye.